So I'll call the meeting to order, and yes, Lori, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick note that they are still working on finding a place for our stuff to go, because I said I've got something, either Jonathan, I can hand this over to you.
Yep,
It's
I can dig it.
got all financial stuff. Or they said, they're still working on finding us a safe spot that you can access easily.
Thank you.
I can take the current stuff if you want, for last year.
I don't know where, it's over.
Oh, okay.
It might be locked in an office now.
Gotcha.
is
I
what they
believe it's
said.
in the same spot that we put it.
Probably.
In the box.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, so I don't know if that's accessible right now, it may be, but they said if you don't want to take this tonight, one of us sneaks into the other room and just puts it on a bench, because the meeting's going.
Okay, I can find room for a 3-ring binder.
Okay. You need a new one, though.
Can ride around in your car for a few months. So I'm just going to, as I said, call the meeting to order, which I just did. We don't have any guests tonight. I did post that we were meeting, but we don't have any guests. And I believe, it looks like all of you saw the message from Melissa that she is unable to come due to the death of her mom. And so thank you all for signing the card, and I will get her address and send it out in the mail. Because I thought that would be a good thing to do. So welcome, everybody. So we're going to, and this, I'm guessing, unless someone wants to have a meeting before June 30th, this will be the last meeting for myself, Donna, Bill, and Lori, because we have all termed out. Part of the town doesn't mind if you stay on the Cultural Council indefinitely, but it's per regulation through the Mass State Cultural Council that we are only allowed to serve 2 3-year consecutive terms.
Consecutive, so you could,
Correct.
you could be 6 years running.
Yes. I mean, but if one of us wanted to come back and do it again in a year, we would essentially be able to start new if we were interested in doing that.
The town sent out a message today with all of the vacancies for all the different departments.
Oh, they did?
Cultural Council was included, so.
Oh, good.
A little advert and literally a couple of sentences regarding, what our goals and aims are.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
Where was that?
it came out in an email, and I'm
For
on
the
the
town
mailing
email
list.
list?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are vacancies on virtually every
yeah?
committee, council, et cetera.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. So why don't we go ahead with minutes, Donna? We'll review our minutes that Donna provided for us. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And thank you for the agenda. I think, is this the first meeting that I've actually said correctly that we need to do minutes? I'm not the best at this.
Finally got it.
I got it down, I'm ready. I'm ready. So we did talk last month, we introduced Bob, and I said thank you for coming back. We really appreciated it. And at the last meeting, we discussed what we do to Bob, and please continue to ask questions, and recruiting new members. Has anybody heard any other murmurings from other possible people who might be interested at this point in time?
I have somebody down the road from me that might be interested, so I'll follow up with him.
Okay.
Were you able to put that flyer together for the school?
No, unfortunately, sorry.
Still working on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next
I think
year is
that'll-
good.
That's very likely
I
to
did learn that we
generate-
can blast out emails as well via the school.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
that's probably just
Wow.
as good.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Probably even more.
Does like a school board have to review it or anything?
Yes, it has to go through the superintendent's secretary for approval, and there has to be a verbiage at the bottom, a disclaimer basically. Once it gets approved, then you can go to the secretary of the school that you want to send it out to.
Great.
And in regards to recruiting, when we needed members in the past, we put together a couple of posters, and I brought those this evening. If anybody would like to take possession of them, if in the future you want them, they're there. So, Jonathan, if you want to take them.
I'll take 'em. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
What's a good place to put them?
Well, we did it at the fair. We had them out at the fair. And I would say another good place was get permission from the library.
I would think so too.
Yeah, put them out at the library. You know,
She's really amenable to that. I think one of the other places didn't, when they have that before the town.
Town meeting.
They had a whole, all the groups, and you could, there was kind of like a little fair, right? And we all kind of stood around and tried to recruit people.
Yeah, so I
So-
would say that they're certainly timely. Nothing has changed in that regard, so they're an effective mechanism, should you be able to put them out. But I think the library would be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Wear it at like the, at Field Day. So we talked about the town website, and once we go through the minutes, I do also have an update from information that I got from the town administrator. I have to admit that I did not reach out again to our veterans coordinator. I can still do that. So I'll do that.
That's Laura Wright, you mean, VOA?
Right, yeah, I reached out once with an email and didn't hear anything, so I'll reach out again.
Yeah.
And
She's very responsive.
she wasn't.
Okay.
When I reached out to the town administrator at the town clerk at the time, and I said, do I have the right email address? And she said, you do. And I didn't hear anything back. So
Copy me on when you send it to her.
I would be
okay.
more than happy
Yeah,
to.
and tell her
Thank
that
you.
I
That's
told
like
you
what
that-
I do at work when I copy my boss.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
yeah.
Bill said you'd be very responsive. Don't
Got it.
hesitate to use that verbiage.
All right, okay. And we talked about our survey at the last meeting, and we talked about ways to advertise and post our events and things like that. And we planned our next meeting, which is happening right now. So would anyone like to comment on the minutes or move to accept the minutes?
I move to accept.
I'll second that motion. Okay.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, so the minutes as Donna created them are accepted. Lori, do you have financial updates or any reimbursements that we've done or
Yep,
things like that?
I'll hand stuff off to Jonathan. I do have a packet here for everybody since it'll be my last one. Our balance has not changed because we haven't had any reimbursements except, I had two that haven't been actually paid yet. I received a reimbursement from Greg, a check, and from the Listening Wellness Center.
Okay, good.
So those are into Kelly for paying. They're kind of in a limbo state of grants. I track them as having received and forwarded them to the town accountant, but you can't take them off the ledger or the encumbered amount until they've been paid. Then you see them on the financial report that the town supplies. Jonathan, I want to make sure we add you to, we probably should wait until we vote that you're going to be a treasurer.
Actually, that's something that I learned. We don't vote on who's going to be doing what as of July 1st, no, because we're outgoing members. So it's up to our new team to make those decisions. We actually don't have an input on that.
Okay. Anyways, well then, I'll say, assuming we're going to take that role, there's a couple of things I've got a synopsis, a one-page synopsis for you.
Thank you.
And we need to add you on to the financial email that Kelly sends out every month with the budget information. And I guess I'd like to stay on as a backup for you until you're comfortable, and maybe I'll just, behind the scenes, be following along until you tell me, Lori, get lost. I've got it, I'm under control. And, you know, just so that
Never.
it won't be hard to jump in if you have a question. Does that make sense to you? So anyways, I will contact the town and tell them to add you to the list for Kelly. Does that sound appropriate? I think that has to happen like ASAP. Anyways,
So she left them the new treasurer?
No, not at this time. Informally, yes, but that is a decision that will be made after the four of us are done.
But he's interested.
Yes,
We made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
just like me when I was in my car on Route 68. Thank you, Lori. And we'll go back to my position, Lori's position, and Donna's position, and just go over, like, our one-pagers.
does anybody want the last report that I did? It's for the end of May, if you'd like a copy.
I think I'm good.
Lauren, I do, I'll take one. Okay,
Just, okay.
pass that down.
I imagine in Iowa, I would swing to try to.
I thought about
Boarding
it, and
house
I
reach.
figured it'd end
Right,
up in that
frisbee
ditch,
it.
in my luck. Did-
Right.
sure, You guys
Good
don't
frisbee
want
golf.
that.
No, we're
Yeah,
all set.
it's very big at Berry Falls. I did stop by Pastel Night. No, I did not participate again, sorry. But I did stop by, and the attendance that night was good.
Morgan attended it.
Yeah, she was there. I'm not a good guesstimator.
Morgan and Emerson both.
Right, I saw them. I waved. My guesstimate was about 20 people.
Yeah, the room was
The
full.
room was full. I mean,
Yeah.
and people were, he was doing a great job as always. Again, it's a great opportunity for picture taking. He's also really responsive to when you appear as the cultural council person. He's very responsive to, oh, I will stop, and do you need volunteers, and this and that. He's very responsive, and he'll also usually say, do you want to tell everybody here about the cultural council? He's very good about that. So it seemed like a very good thing. I'm guesstimating that the library supported the remainder of his fee. I don't know.
I assume so. Chris is the one who contacted us and said that the other portion of the request for payment was in our box, so I'm assuming she must have
Yeah.
picked that up.
Yeah, so it was, and I would guess, barring any problems that he has, I would be surprised that he doesn't put in another application for next year, and probably he and Chris have probably agreed on a date already, I would think.
How many times does he do this? How many days? How many?
He just does one event. It's usually just
One
one event.
This is like the 7th or 8th now that I've heard of. Yeah.
Right. He comes, this particular artist, he's been coming every year for
Yeah.
a number of years.
He'll pick one flower, usually a session.
Yeah, he's quite something. I mean, he's brilliantly talented. It's just, for someone like me, whose level of skill is more at paint night and a glass of wine, it's a bit beyond me.
I was missing the glass of wine, right?
I was missing the glass of wine. But it was well attended. And
Patty went, right?
I did not attend the fair. Also, I was doing some stuff that morning, and also I had gotten the message that Henry the Juggler was not attending that day. He had sent me a text. Actually, he tried to call me around like 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. But you got a message, Lori? That
I
he-
got an email from him saying that he'd like to reschedule for...
For Katie's event,
Oh,
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the summer
Katie told
concert
me he
events.
was going to schedule for her first bandstand.
And
gig.
his question to the cultural council, was that an acceptable substitution for us to pay him for?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if we had to, I guess we have to agree on that as a council, so I would move that we accept his offer to have him perform on July 15th.
I would like to ask if that's an equitable move, because since this is an inaugural event, he might not have as big an audience as if he moved to the field day in September.
He's done this in Hubbardston for a number of years, and his time of performance is not that long. Last year, he performed for about an hour, and what he does a lot of, and Jonathan can speak to this better than I can, he walks around a lot. Rather than being on a big stage, he tends to walk around and interact personally with families and things like that. So I actually would think Katie's event would probably be a better place for him than Field Day, just because Field Day's so big.
I guess I think Lori's question is valid. You know, if you only have 10 people show up to the concert, and then at the fair you would have had 200, is it? And that's a fair question to put on the table.
My input on that would be, with a finite amount of time for the concert too, that I don't believe we're gonna get an hour out of them. Because when they're playing, I can't see him, doing, because he did that act in front of the people, and then he worked the crowd. But would that be a distraction if in fact the music were going on at the same time?
I think her plan was to have kind of like a pre-event and have like food trucks, because I think the time on it is advertised from 5 till 8.
Katie actually stated that she needs, not side gigs, but auxiliary type of
Additional
activities.
entertainment?
Exactly, additional entertainment to work around the main performance.
And this might be a good setting for him to
Yeah.
walk around
Yeah.
and interact with the crowd versus having a sit-down. Maybe he'll be up on stilts or something. I don't know if he can do that in the dark.
Traditionally, in the past, he's set up in front of the gazebo on Field Day and done
Made a presentation,
15-minute
yeah.
presentation with the kids there, and then before that, he'll walk around before his gig. Yeah.
What is the event we're talking about in July?
The July 15th event, Katie Young, who's in town here and one of our selectmen, she applied for a grant last year, and she's going to be sponsoring as part of the Hubbardston celebration. She's going to sponsor 2 outdoor concert nights at the field. One is on July 15th, and one is in August something.
I couldn't find any of them on the website. I couldn't figure out what they were.
They might be, I think I posted it on our, I saw it on Katie's site, but I don't know the exact date of the August one.
And who's Katie? You said?
Katie Young is a local resident who is very involved and a real asset to the town. She gets things done.
She's a firecracker in town. She
Yeah.
is.
And she's probably watching, she's probably going to
Amazing.
watch this on video.
She conducted the 250th celebration. She's
Yeah.
also on the select board.
Yes. She is somebody, if you want to get things done here, reach out to Katie.
It'll be promoted very well.
Yes.
On the new town sign we have now.
Okay.
Yeah.
In addition to, she'll be sending out blasts. There's more than likely going to be, if you saw coming into town from Gardner, it talked about the Hubbardston Fair coming up, the little signs along the road. She'll be doing that, and I think she'll make a very sincere effort to promote it as well as possible. I think
There
it's
was
a great
already an
idea.
article in the Gardner News.
An article in the Gardner News.
Yeah, there was already an article
We are
about it.
funding it, right?
Yes, correct.
Partly,
She
partly.
applied, right, she applied for the potential for 4 concert nights, for, what was it, a cost of $500 apiece?
600
600?
each. Yeah.
And so she wanted to sponsor 4 nights of concerts, and just because 4 nights of concerts was a large portion of our budget, and this had not been done before, we said that we would sponsor 2. So we're sponsoring 2 nights. But it,
Oh, I hear something about it, but there's no publicity as such right now about it. I mean,
There is on Facebook.
Yeah.
I've seen
How
it
do we-
quite a bit.
How do we get you in touch with Katie?
Yeah.
You do Facebook?
I hate Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
Do you get
Well,
emails
do it.
from,
Laura,
do you,
wave at her, she's sitting in the meeting next door.
right, yeah.
But who are these groups that are performing? Are they bands or orchestras?
She's,
They
I
are.
don't know
There are
who's
bands, and she
performing,
has
yeah.
published a list for the groups that are performing for the July one. She's already posted their names. I don't remember them offhand. I have to go up and look, but
Right, yeah. She'll probably also, do you receive the town emails?
I go to the town website, but I don't have any.
The town sends out emails really regularly. I think if you send an email to the town clerk,
Okay.
and it's just, or even stop by their office, and it just says their email address, I can share it with you, but it's tclerk@Hubbardston, it's Hubbardston, US? Is that what it is?
HubbardstonMA.us.
nice.
Uh,
There's about 10 mailing lists that the town has, and saying what you want, they will blast out, when somebody broadcasts something.
It'd be a good idea, Bob, to get on it that way.
Yeah,
You'll be
It's,
getting a lot
it's
more.
very useful.
Every day I delete about.
Yeah, no, it's a really, it's.
Delete 898 of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good way of finding out what's going on in
So,
town.
update on the concerts, they are on July 15th and 22nd.
Great.
August 5th and 19th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So she's
I think
got
she found
that-
funding
Funding
elsewhere.
for other sources then to do the.
Oh,
other
wow, so she's doing
That's
four.
great.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
Going back to
Let's go
Honey the
back to
Juggler,
that.
I wonder if having him not on the inaugural event where people might not really know what's going on, maybe the third or fourth one, where there'd be more of an audience. I'm not thinking so much as bang for the buck, but it's dismal to perform for 5 people. It's no fun.
I
Yeah,
think that's
I'm-
a decision, I don't know if we can make that.
We
I
we
don't
can
know if
still, we can vote, we're still on them. We're
Okay,
still- So
okay.
I would say, my input would be to get back in touch with him and ask him if he can make alternate dates and explain why.
Should he reach out to Katie?
He's got to coordinate that with Katie, that's his responsibility.
Okay.
But
Yes.
evidently he already has.
Yeah, yes, the second or third session then we're thinking as a
Yes,
group.
I would think that's a good idea.
Yeah, not the first one where
Correct.
people aren't quite sure what to make of it yet.
And Jonathan, I did get his email to work at some
Yeah.
point, that's why, so, and Katie must have an email.
Yeah,
that
his
works for
phone
him.
and email did go down for a while there. I could not get in
Okay.
touch with him
Right.
for the
So
initial
somebody
award.
other than I is gonna get in touch with him?
I can.
Back?
Good.
I
Okay.
can
Okay.
reach out to him. If he cannot commit to any of those other dates, if he says, no, those dates aren't good, this date is good.
But we're going to give him 3 potentials,
Correct,
second, third, or fourth maybe.
right.
So, and if that's inconvenient for him to get back to us, and perhaps at that point, I would say, have him do field day.
I think I would encourage him, and with Katie's agreement, I think I would encourage him for either the second or third one.
Yep.
Because if weather is a problem for the fourth one, then you're, okay,
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
all right. Lori, before we go, if you could get me his email address or send me his email address, whatever's easiest for you.
Okay,
He has it's funny, he has my phone. I could certainly send him a text message, but I'd rather send him an email. Then I can actually CC you guys on the email as well, which I think would be appropriate. So I'll reach out to him. So for the second or third event. Okay. Alrighty.
you may have it, because if you saw his message to me, he would have been on it. Did
No,
his message?
we got yours, but
Yeah.
You
nothing
didn't
from
see
him.
what, oh, you didn't see?
No,
though,
we
the
didn't
part
see
where
his.
I didn't share with you guys the part of his message?
I don't think
me?
so.
No, I
Okay.
just saw that you got it.
Okay.
You said, was I the only one that got it?
Right, and I thought I had tried to make
Ah.
sure that his was, but maybe I,
Included.
okay, I will send you his email address.
Got it. Okay, great, thank you. So more to come, because we won't be meeting officially, everyone is in agreement. If he can do the second or third event this summer, we would recommend that, and if he cannot, we would recommend that he do field day, but he would have to coordinate with Joyce Green for that rather than Katie. Yes?
What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I agree, second, third, or field day.
Okay.
Field day sounds more appropriate for a juggler than a concert. It's like, I can't imagine a concert going on and somebody juggling.
Well, they're going to have events before the actual show, and like at intermission and things like that. It's going to be an outdoor event. I believe there's going to be food trucks. I think it's going to be kind of casual. Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a
Kind of
casual
like a
event.
fair.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
He put in for half an hour on his time,
30 minutes, like, okay.
30 minutes length, so I think that will be ample time.
Oh, he put in 30
I
minutes?
think it was 30 minutes is what he said through with Katie for the event.
Okay.
Okay, so that's,
And all the more reason what Laura said, more people are likely to get there for 6, if that's when the music's going to begin, than they are to 5. So,
Yeah.
once again, playing to a bigger audience by the second or third time.
sure.
Hopefully it'll work out. That's one we'd want to, you guys would want to take a look at to see how effective it was, and we're always looking to get the best bang for our buck, and how do we expose our community to the cultural aspects of what we're offering. So, you know, once again, if there's half dozen people there, they'll
Yeah,
all be VIPs.
Right, I did, I don't know if anybody attended the fair, I didn't, but I drove by and boy, it was busy.
It was happening, yeah.
Yeah, it looked very, very busy,
And it
which
didn't rain until,
I think it was around like 2-ish.
so,
Yeah, we were gone by the time.
it lucked out.
Yeah, that's right, it started pouring, yeah, I remember that. So those are the updates on, we haven't had any other performances or anything lately, as far as anybody knows? Okay. So I submitted questions to Nathan, our town administrator, who's also right over there. And some of the questions we submitted was, one of the things we learned from our survey was that a good number of people find out about things in town through the email, through the town email. And I did ask if we have an event as the cultural council, can we submit that to the town clerk to be sent out as an email through the town? And he said yes. He said, sure. And I mean, we have probably a total of maybe 12 events a year, maybe not even. And so he said, and I think I kind of specified that we wouldn't be asking for email blasts like every week. And he said, yes, that's absolutely appropriate. I asked him about an email address for the Cultural Council. He said, yes, we're working on it. From what I understand from my mole in the town offices, apparently this may cost money. I'm not sure. It's not just you add somebody on. And I guess they're looking at, I'm not certain on this, but I believe other town committees also have the same email situation that we're in. So I believe they're looking at a solution for that. But there's nothing forthcoming right now. But we have been heard on that. Lastly, I think this was the last one, I told him that we had permission several years ago to open a Facebook account. Could we open an Instagram account as the Hubbardston Cultural Council? And he said yes. So that's where he said. I think those were all the questions I sent to him. Not 100% sure.
Yes, working on.
Yes, pretty much, pretty much, yeah. And so he was fine with all those things. And he's been, of course, there was recently a town meeting, town election. I believe he recently got married. He's been very busy. But he was able to get back.
So Laura being our sort of unofficial person with
I
Facebook.
thought it was pretty darn official the way you railroaded me into the job.
Did I do that? Well,
Unfortunately,
July 1st.
Yeah, you-
July 1st,
Yeah.
yep, July
I am
1st.
going to need admin credentials, but don't tell them to me because I don't want that recorded. You write them on a piece of paper and slide them over.
Yes, that's part of my update on the 2 hats that I wear.
The other would be taking us off as admins on the site.
Yes. So, do we have any upcoming grantee events besides Katie's concerts, you had our site up. Can I
yeah.
just take
And
a
then
look
field
at that
day.
really quick?
Right? And then field day.
When you're
Yeah.
saying our website, you're
Well,
talking about our Facebook page.
yes.
Yeah, our Facebook page, because I put up that little cheat sheet of all the events.
Yes, summer concert, there's one
Right, and then
reminder.
our profile, this thing, our profile picture, that thing.
This guy here?
Yeah, that thing
Oh,
here.
the cool little, okay, gotcha, yep.
Right, that has all our
Sorry.
events.
Let me turn up the monitor.
A lot of things are vague as to when.
Oh, you know what? That's last year. That's
That's
not
last
this-
year?
Yeah, that's,
That's right, because.
yeah, can you go to our regular page? Anyway,
I
I,
need to sign in, sorry.
sorry.
I'm not signed in.
So I should go to Facebook to find out where these concerts are, what they're about, and
You can, but I think, I mean, you can, I mean, the town's gonna be updating, I think Katie's gonna have messages on the, board. I mean, if
on
you,
the website for the town.
I don't know if she's gonna have something up on the website for the town.
Talking about the reader board. that's-
Right, the electronic board
Reader board.
that's
Right by the-
downtown.
Fire
Is it
station.
the big colorful sign?
Yep.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
she'll have that there. I forget, you said you do look at the paper every day? The Gardner News or the Worcester
No, I
Telegram?
get the Boston Globe every day, but
I don't think we'll be in there.
No, the Valley Gazette comes once a week, that's all I get.
Right, Katie's actually really good at getting the word out, so I'm guessing it would probably appear in there as well. Sorry, I thought you already had it up.
I'm still, sorry.
I thought you
I
already
don't
had
use it on
it.
my
The
laptop.
Gazette does cover Hubbard's.
Trying to get
pretty well,
into
yeah.
Facebook.
Right,
I don't do it on my, I have it on this, I don't have it on that.
There's a little banner,
Cool.
but
Right.
it looks really little on a mobile.
Yeah.
right, it's it's very little on a phone. But I don't, so Katie has her concerts
There you go.
and, oh, thank you, dear.
That's the group.
Where's my little picture? Where's the little picture of our things? There it is. Okay, so, I don't know, did the gentleman who does the Artful Mechanisms, do we know if he did anything, if he did his production at the school? I
No
think it was
idea.
gonna be in the fall, right?
I thought it was gonna be
He
earlier
said
than
spring
that.
2023.
That's what I thought, yeah.
What?
School. But we heard nothing about that.
No.
What is this?
It's a gentleman, it's a grant that we awarded last year, and it's a gentleman who goes in the schools, and he does all kinds of really cool, like, make things with kids and,
Using mechanisms to.
right, elementary
Oh, good,
physics.
good, that sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's very nice, but we haven't heard,
Did he apply for reimbursement yet?
No.
No.
so. The Winchendon Wind concert series, I think that's actually up and running. I don't know if any of you are aware, there's a new outdoor amphitheater in Winchendon.
Yes.
It's beautiful. We went and drove around it the other day. It's quite something.
In Winchendon.
In Winchendon, yes.
Like, we
There
are,
was a festival in the
it's-
summer at Winchendon. It was, the Winchendon Music something or other for
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, and the COVID epidemic entered it.
Right, I'm not
The
sure, if-
Winchendon Winds, maybe?
yeah, might have been. No, this is, I think technically I get confused. I don't know if it's on 202. Basically, I know it is the main road in Winchendon where you're going by the Clark, and then if you, I'm terrible at directions, don't ask my husband. If you turn right to cut up to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
202
yeah.
towards like the Monadnock region,
Yeah.
it's there. But it's this, it was actually, I saw articles, online and things like that, but it's this outdoor amphitheater park space.
Very cool.
It's beautiful. It's not huge, but they're having a concert series there, all kinds of things. So if someone is, wants to, do something like
get
that.
back.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry.
So there was, we had Kelly's Music, Henry the Juggler we talked about. I don't know about the West African drumming. Maybe that will be happening later. The veterans thing, Uniquely Quabbin is ongoing. The fun science balloon twisting, all that, that's at field day. Listening and wellness, that's done. Wildlife tracking is done. Pastel drawing is done. Crop dusters is field day. Magical Potter's Wheel, which is always very good, is on field day. And our friend Dennis is still coming here, I
Yeah.
think. There's an older gentleman who comes to the senior center, thank you. There's an older gentleman who comes to the senior center, and he used to do these very funny shows with his brother,
Elvis.
and they dressed up as Elvis, and they were great. Unfortunately, the brother died, right? But he still comes, and he does like songs and things like that. He's wonderful, and he's not expensive, and he's a delightful person, so I think he's still
Yeah,
working
Dennis
with.
Cormier.
Right, I think he's still working with Claudia.
He is.
On a
I
date.
saw him on Memorial Day,
I think he's from
and he
Gardner.
said that he
He was
was
nice tonight.
coordinating with Claudia
Claudia
to
is a
pick a
guy.
date.
Great, great. So, and he's low budget. So those are the kind of the upcoming events, and again, as much as possible, if there's an event that we know we're sponsoring, we do try to attend. People who are having an event, they are requested to put up a sign that says they're being sponsored by the Mass Cultural Council. Most do. Occasionally, not so much, but most do.
I have a question regarding that.
Yes?
Do we give people press kits to enable them to publicize their own events?
No. The Mass Cultural Council, I think, has materials for them available online. Most people in their grant application have to say how they are planning to publicize their event. Usually people pretty much boilerplate it as, I will reach out to local papers and put up signs and things like that. Occasionally, the gentleman we had last year who did the Waylon Jennings and the Highwayman guy, he actually sent us a link to put up online. He sent us a video to put up online. The Hardwick people who came over to do the wildlife tracking, they sent me a beautiful PDF that I could just put right online. Everybody's a little different, but I would, and agree or disagree, I would say most people are kind of hoping that we will publicize it in some way, but it's really hit or miss.
Yeah, and I think it probably, maybe we fell short on not following up with the press release, because that's a very good idea. I think in the very beginning, didn't we put a couple press releases in the Gardner News of stuff that was coming up? But I don't know that we've directly sent, I don't think we've ever direct.
We've tried, it kind of,
They didn't, I did the Worcester Telegram, Fitchburg
right.
newspaper, Barry Gazette, and the Gardner News. Nobody posted.
Oh, wow.
I-
You know, I think that happened to me as well.
Yeah.
I think I sent something and it just went
Yeah.
nowhere.
So we're not required to, but if they do ask for help, we can help them correct.
Try.
But I think having a kit would be
Yeah.
an amazing idea.
As I'm envisioning drastic changes to our town website, including links to resources like that, more
Yeah.
photographs, less descriptive of the nuts and bolts of how we do it, but instead what we do and why it's important.
Sure,
Good.
I think that would be great.
sure.
But I'll talk more about that at the agenda item.
Yeah. So now I think we've talked about our upcoming events. And again, Bob, these are our events that we approved last fall. We granted them the monies. They have this year to follow through with the performance of the grant. Occasionally, sometimes people can't, and then they may ask for an extension or things like that. That gets a little in the weeds. But then people start to send in applications for new grants for 2024. They'll start to put in applications in September to the Mass Cultural Council site.
And when she talks about they have a year to perform, it's a little kind of ambiguous as to what that year, it goes into next year. It's not like, it's not a calendar year. It's basically from their date of getting the acceptance letter year. And I don't remember exactly what the date of the acceptance
Usually
letter was.
early
But
February.
it's somewhere in.
February.
Yeah,
Yeah.
early February.
So the year is not, they don't have to have it performed by the end of this calendar year.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you. It gets weedy sometimes. So I'm more than happy to start with my stuff on the end of the year, or the end of my term. I made 2 documents, and I made 2 copies. I did a tip sheet for the next chair of the Cultural Council, or it's also kind of general information. I talked about meetings, who to reach out to when you want to set a date for a meeting. And I put in the email addresses. If you need the senior center, you talk to the town people, you talk to Candace, you talk to Tony, but you also have to reach out directly to Claudia. So like to book this room tonight, Tony told me we couldn't be in there, but she said, you have to reach out to Claudia. So that's how that gets organized. The agenda needs to be posted on the town website. It needs to be done at least 48 business hours in advance of the town meeting, or you're not in compliance as a public meeting. And it gets a little tricky because the town clerk and the Board of Selectmen secretary generally do not work on Fridays. And also, if there's a holiday, they probably have it.
I thought the town offices were closed on Fridays and nobody works on Fridays.
The town administrator's there, but generally, yes. So you have to kind
I think the
of,
door's locked, isn't it?
I don't know, I'm not sure.
I think it is. I
Yeah.
don't know that you can actually just come walk in on
Probably
Fridays.
not, yeah. But it gets tricky, so I generally, when I'm posting the agenda, I try to post it like a full week to allow for weekends, holidays, Fridays, things like that, because it can get tricky on compliance.
Just on the town website, the agenda for today?
Yes, yes, it's posted on the town website,
So,
yes.
yeah, town clerk, Monday, 12 to 6, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday, 8 to 4, and then Friday, nothing.
Right, yeah, so you kind of have to, that was a little hard for me to wrap my head around. The Town of Hubbardston website, I believe the town clerk manages it now. I'm not 100% sure. But I think so. She's fairly new to the position, but this position, but my understanding is she has a great deal of experience from either Rutland or Barry, so she knows her stuff. So I don't, but I'm assuming that she updates on the town website. I don't know if it's officially part of their job to update the members on our cultural council and like when their term ends. I think they have done it in the past, but it's a good idea to, keep her posted. And most of our terms are for 3 years. I do seem to think that Melissa was appointed for a 1-year term, so she will need to re-up on that term, I believe. And if you, in the past, and I will, we should, at the end of the meeting, determine who's going to get our emails, because like right now, if Tony gets an email from somebody who wants to join the Cultural Council, or she has a question, it's not often, but she reaches out to me, and I'm more than happy to have her keep reaching out to me until we've made a decision about where to send a message. But if someone wants to be on the Cultural Council, they reach out to the town clerk, they fill out their application, which is very short, and then it goes to the select board for an appointment, and they do have to do all that compliance stuff online as well. And as I said, they contact you if they have new applications. And then I pretty much laid it out in terms of like the time of year, kind of what you do throughout the year. I couldn't quite remember, Lori, and I know that you would have a better memory on this than I do. There's a piece on the Mass Cultural Council that I had to do in September that kind of has to say our mission statement or.
Right, that the mission and priorities have to be updated.
Right, it has to be updated every year on the Mass Cultural site. And I did that in September, I think, last year.
Are we leaving them alone this year?
Excuse
As
me?
is?
I just copied and pasted last year.
And well, we just did the survey, I guess the question was out on the table as to, that the survey was to see if there were any changes that were needed to the priorities or the mission statement. And I guess it should be decided maybe by the new group if something needs to change. And
Yeah.
then those
Yeah.
areas.
I mean, I think it was pretty much that we try to focus on local people who can provide a benefit to our specific town rather than performers who are like, I want to do everything. But, so that's kind of a chairperson. Again, we talked about this a little bit before, and this is for everybody in the group, and we talked about this, that if you know of someone who may qualify for a grant, it's a good time of year to talk to them in August and September and say, hey, you might be really good for this. This is how you would go apply for a grant. Because when the time of the grant closes, as most of you know, the door closes. That's it. It's a computer site, so you can't do it.
It's funny because most of them came in like 2-3 days before.
Right.
I remember watching that
Katie
website
was
and they all just
calling
popped
you.
in at the last
Right.
minute. Katie was calling her and I trying to.
Right, get on, but
Yeah.
it's a very hard stop in terms of when you can apply, and then you can't,
The state shuts the door basically.
right? Yeah,
Those who apply to us.
no, they apply to the state. And then the state forwards their grant application to us.
So when you go to the website portal for the state, you choose what town you want, you fill out the application for that town, basically, and then when we open up our deliberations period there, we then get a list from the state and we go through the list and decide
And then,
which
Bob,
ones.
hypothetically, what you talked about at the beginning, should you see someone that might be an appropriate candidate, simply tell them to go online, Mass Cultural Council, bingo. That's all they'd have to do, and then they'd get the schedule and so on and so forth. First step would be to go to that website.
How does it come to us?
Electronically, we view it electronically.
They don't send us anything. You have to log into their site to be able to see them, see the grant applications.
I can show you after the meeting if you want to see the portal that we look at to see all the applicants and what we see on our end. Yeah.
Really is straightforward.
It's just not too bad.
And believe me, when we started, there's nobody on the committee, so we didn't have a chairperson, a treasurer, a secretary, anything, and we were all kind of looking at each other, and we didn't make up the rules, we kind of,
Stumbled
followed
along.
the direction we had, and we did it without making any major mistakes, so we all
No, I think
survived,
we
yeah.
kind of got there. And then in the fall, the chairperson should be scheduling fall meetings to review grant applications. In October, the grant applications are due. The Mass Cultural Council will let you know the date. And I believe in October is when we're told how much funds we have. It's September,
Might
October?
have been
I don't have the exact
Yeah.
date, but
I'm not
there's
sure.
a voting meeting where you decide on,
Yeah.
you get your funds and you decide, you have to do a calculation to figure out what dollars you have that were unencumbered to carry forward and what grants are still outstanding, and you develop how much money you have to spend. But
Right.
that is a voting meeting.
Yeah.
And Bray's from the state representative side is usually pretty good about sending out reminders.
Oh, yeah,
of when-
she sends out a
When
lot.
a compliance deadline's coming up, they'll shoot out a mail saying, hey, just a reminder, this is coming up, make sure you get your meeting in, right?
I have a question about the finances. Do we have a budget because the state gives us our allotment of grant money and then we keep it and dole it out?
The town gets it, we
Well,
do
I
not.
meant that the state doesn't administer it, so.
No, it does not.
And by carrying a balance year to year, that does not affect the amount of the grant, right?
That we get from the
cannot
state.
carry a balance forward, only for the grants that are outstanding. Can you
Okay.
carry the balance forward? You-
So
you
there's
can-
no interest, no other money coming in except that which is allocated.
Right, you could, and I think it's in the documentation, you can solicit your town select board to make a budget for you and fund you if they have money to do it, or you could have charitable events to raise money. The only stipulation is you need to set up a separate account to keep that money separated from the Mass Cultural Council money, and that would be interest-bearing as opposed to the Mass Cultural Council money, which is not interest-bearing. But you could solicit to get money. funds
You can charge
beforehand.
for events, correct? You can
Yes,
charge.
or you can, yes, you can charge for events if you want.
Sounds like more trouble than it's worth.
That's what we
Yeah, that's
generally thought.
Exactly correct. Yeah.
Outdoor events largely too, how do you charge admission to a band concert, really?
It's tough.
And there are certain, like the Barry Loring Center, that although we grant them a certain amount, they charge to take a class. And as long as we feel that the Hubbardston people, our population, is benefiting from it, so we ask them every year, you know, give us a breakdown of how many people from our town attended classes, so on and so forth, because they're in Barry, so there's a distance factor. But I think that KISS is a way to look at it as far as that aspect of it. And what it amounts to, when you have a certain allocation, like the 6,600, as a group, we get together, and a group or an individual can ask for a certain amount, and they can, but we have the ability to grant them a percentage of that. And then they have the choice as to whether or not to accept that amount or to reject it, and no one's ever rejected it. So, and they'll also state in the application that if a lesser amount is granted, that they are willing to still perform what they have specified, and they will actively pursue other avenues to finance it. Perfect example is Pastel Night, where the library also put in some money. She has a certain budget, and we allocated them a certain amount. And so in the years, we've never had anybody say, no, I'm not going to do it because you're only giving us, 300 instead of 600 I asked for. Not a one, right? Yeah,
No.
So
No.
I think they kind of take that into consideration, and no one's ever said, well, if you only give us half the amount, I'm only going to do half the performance, right? No one's ever, so.
No. So the busier meeting time of year is October, November, until you allocate all your monies. And then in December, January, and Donna can talk to this better than I can, the secretary in our group has sent out letters to applicants who will not receive a grant. Those go out first, because if we tell you we're not going to give you a grant, you have the ability to file a appeal, thank you. I was going to use the word complaint. You have the ability to file an appeal. Again, no one has ever filed an appeal. So once those letters go out at a certain amount of time, then the secretary sends out letters to those who have received a grant.
So just for clarification, it's emails, not letters. You can always
Thank you.
send the letter if you want.
Yeah,
But
thank
through
you.
their portal, you click a few buttons and you build your list of denials. You click a button, I'm ready to go. It sends all the emails out. If you want to send supplemental letters, things like
Right.
that, you can.
Right, John.
And then you wait. Nothing comes in. A month later, then you go through and then you take all of your approvals and then you click on those, and then that will send out an email as well.
Actually, doesn't the state actually,
Do they send the
They-
approval?
Yes, this year.
Yes.
they
Oh,
do
they
this
send the
year?
letters?
Well, they sent the,
The ones that weren't allowed.
yes, I didn't do anything this year.
Oh, really?
Right.
No,
Oh, because of
the
what you
denials
did?
this year,
Yeah.
Maybe there is a letter on the state end that, yeah.
I think the denials
Okay.
go out by the state first.
Yeah, there's some verbiage in there when I went through the wizard that was very explicit about, I had to go back and look to see what it was said, but
But
yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple.
I didn't, I mean, it was a couple of hours on a Sunday
That
afternoon,
was
click,
it.
click, click, out they go, and then wait.
And that was that also part of completing the grant worksheet so the MCC could see exactly how much money we were allocating?
Yes.
Was that the
I
same?
guess I usually have taken
Event.
care of most. Did you do it this year?
I did, yeah. So with each one that you approved, you then go in and double check and do an audit of the form that they've already filled out.
Okay, we fill out that form before. It's not they fill it out.
I didn't have to do much.
I did it.
Oh, you did it then? Okay,
Yes.
so, okay.
There are.
There's a piece of it that I haven't seen
Right,
yet, okay.
right, that's-
Yeah.
I think it
Rules
was
have
before-
changed the past couple of years.
Right, yeah, it
Yeah.
gets more automated all the
Yeah, it's a
time.
little
More
more
simplified.
simplified.
Right, yeah,
Less expensive because you don't have to pay postage. which
Right.
you
That's
can-
exactly right. There were letters at one point we sent out.
right, yeah, I think the first year, I think
We
we
did.
actually
I
mailed
remember,
things,
because I
right?
signed them all.
Yeah, yeah. And then so that's pretty much December, January. And then in February, the chair does have to submit a report to the town. And I attached a copy of what I sent, 2 copies of what I sent last year. So just so I mean, it's in the town, it's buried in the town stuff somewhere, but.
Sarah, will there be a way that you'll be able to get a copy of that to Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, if she wants it, yes.
Well, I think,
Well,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
like to get a copy of it, not
Right.
because I'm volunteering for the post of chair, but because it's got helpful
Yeah.
information.
Oh, yeah, no, and
So
I,
you
Make
email
copies,
them.
right, and I can email it to you, or I can,
I'd recommend any paper documents we have here that can be used in the future, if we have electronic versions of them, that we can get
Sure.
copies of them.
sure, I'll send these out.
Because that's what I did with Donna's denials and approvals for this year. I actually sent, the one that you sent me, I actually took that and changed it up to match the year.
that's right.
Oh, the
And, yeah, it
template,
was very
we have
easy,
to-
because
yeah.
you had already done the
and
work
paste,
in the
yeah.
previous
Right.
year, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that the town website allows for a private file repository.
that would be great.
Like
That-
like a Google Drive almost?
Yes.
Cool.
I mean, a
Cool.
really crappy version of a Google Drive,
This-
but
Anything.
It exists. So that's pretty much kind of like tips, overall tips, and also being the chairman. You get random calls and this and that, but it's pretty straightforward. And you try to remember to announce the minutes at the meeting. The other sheet that I made up, and I can also send this electronically, is social media. I've generally tried to post on Facebook every 1 to 2 weeks. It varies. Usually my posts include, like, we're having a meeting, we have a grantee event, or events in the town. Often if Katie's doing something, I'll take it and share it. If the library's doing something, I'll take it and share it. So, and the other entities in the town that do use Facebook this way are generally pretty reciprocal. Like if I post something, they'll grab it, they'll post it on their site, I'll take things and I'll post it to their
Just
site.
an attempt to have more eyes see the
Mm-hmm.
announcement.
Do you tag on people of Hubbardston?
Oh, all the time.
Okay, great.
Yes. What I do, the way that I've been putting it to people of Hubbardston is I see my Facebook post,
Bless you.
God bless you. I see my Cultural Council Facebook post, and then I share it to people of Hubbardston.
Okay.
And usually Katie gives it another little boost. We have used Facebook Boost, and it actually works pretty well. It's very cheap. The biggest problem we have with it is it always wants to send it to like 20 towns. And our reach is actually, our area is so tight that it's a little hard. Where we have used Facebook Boost, where we used it last fall, was when we were saying, now is the time to submit a grant. And that we did a much broader reach. But I have used the Boost, and it's cheap. When I do go to an event, or when we get photos of an event, I generally try to avoid people, especially children's faces, as much as possible. And if I only have like little kids' faces, I usually won't post.
Do you have a model release form?
No, I have not used one, no. Like when I was at the pastel event, and people instantly, when you start saying, I would like to take pictures, and I told people there, I said, your hands might be in the picture, I might have your back in the picture. And so I try to very much limit certain people's exposure. If the performer, I will put the picture of the performer on the site. Like I put Greg Maychek up there. I've put pictures of Henry the Juggler, the Potter Guy. The Potter Guy takes really good pictures. I put up pictures of the Crop Dusters last year, things like that.
What about the senior sing-along? I saw a group portrait of a whole chorus of senior citizens.
That was true. That one I did post. That one I did, yeah. And that came from, I didn't take the picture. It came from Kelly, of Kelly's Music. So he sent that to me. So I did post that one.
Is that a concern we should have? Should we get model release form or continue to creatively crop people out?
Not my decision at this point in time.
I'm not sure, in today's day and age, maybe it's more important to make sure that people are aware where their face is going to show up.
It's just good form. I work in the communications department, and if you're going to use a person's likeness for your own gain, then it's different if it's a nonprofit, sort of, but still, it's just common courtesy to ask and at least get permission to post people.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, if we were profiting from their likeness, then we would definitely need the model release.
Yeah. Like I said, I've very much, except for that picture, I've very much as possible, have tried to avoid having
Faces.
faces. Mhm. Yeah, I haven't blurred anybody. I just, if I'm taking pictures of an event, I deliberately try to,
Re-angle yourself.
yeah.
So it sounds like the primary goal for all the marketing that we're doing, primary goals are to advertise the fact that there's a grant cycle, to raise awareness that there is a cultural council,
Yes,
and to help publicize grantees' events as long as it's not untoward marketing push.
yes.
So more, here it comes and there it goes. Are there any other goals that we would have that we're trying to get people to do something or to act in a certain way?
Except for the survey, no. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is awareness that, yes, there is a cultural council, and awareness that there are events going on in town.
And that people should apply for grants, that the town is looking for activities, cultural activities to support. I mean, a lot of times it seems like it's run-of-the-mill grants that we get over. It's refreshing to get a new grant from a new
Oh, yeah.
group or a
Yeah, it is.
person or something. So just trying to pull those other possibilities in is always nice.
Yeah, I do, when I put up posts, if I have a performer or a grantee who has a Facebook account, I'll try to tag them so they can use it. Occasionally I've done that. And I've tried to do that with Greg Maychek a little bit, but not really too much. And then I will essentially relinquish the Facebook account, and I can either close it or I can pass it on to you. Yeah.
You can find me on Facebook. I will make it my business to be on it more for this purpose. But it's just simply Laura Foley.
LauraFoley.
F-O-L-E-Y. I'm wearing a white dress with cherries on it, so that's how
Got
I
it.
remember.
I think I have a hedgehog in a car right now. But yeah.
But you can add me as an admin on the site.
Yes, and I'm gonna take myself off, I'll take Bill off, I think Lori's an admin. And I'll also let Katie Young know, because it's a great, kind of, reciprocal thing that I'm often sharing her stuff, she's sharing my stuff, but I wanna direct her towards you. Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty much, I mean, I think that's mostly it on the social media.
Is somebody an administrator of our Hubbardston Facebook page?
I am.
Okay, I think I need to contact the town clerk myself to do that. That's not a transference that you can make.
We made the page, so I think I can.
No, you can't, because it's a town page.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I'm looking at it. I'm not the Facebook page, the
Oh.
Hubbardston website.
No, I don't have access to the Hubbardston
Okay.
website, no.
So you have a website page for the Cultural Council?
No.
Your name?
No. I managed the social media on our Facebook page. I have not, I've submitted information to the
Yeah,
town
that's-
website, but I haven't done anything with the town website.
So we put things on Facebook, the Cultural Council does, that you do. So if I went on Facebook, looked up Cultural Council, I'd find things there?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, forgive me if I'm telling you something you already know, stop
You
me if
don't,
I have.
believe me.
But the difference between social media marketing and a web page is a web page is more like just the facts, man, who, what, where, when, how. Social media is engaging with the public. So if people are talking to you, if they ask you a question on the social media page, you respond, and you start a community of people who are like-minded and that you keep up with and respond to, and they respond to you.
That's not me.
Well, then lucky you don't have to administer it.
Thank you, that's a
But that
great
doesn't prevent
explanation.
you from looking at it
Right.
Oh, I do look at things.
and gathering
Yep.
information and benefiting in that
With a
regard.
website, it's a lot tougher to hold a conversation because often there's a delay in getting that message to the right person. But with social media, it is expected that if you have a social media presence, you have a Facebook page, that you are going to respond to people almost immediately, not the very second, but at least within 24 hours that they send you something. And
Um,
that's-
I'd recommend, Sarah, that you have a second person that has admin access to that group from the council here as well.
Oh, absolutely, we've had, I think all of us have had
Mm-hmm.
access, so yeah, no, I'm going to retire myself from the page,
Are
and
you
then,
volunteering, John?
and then I'll put Jonathan
I'm sorry?
and Laura
Are you
on.
volunteering, Jonathan?
Yeah. Jonathan's wife is artistic, so, you know, that might help.
That's you have to
And,
opening your mouth.
and.
Carmela Bush.
Yeah, and like I said, I share a lot. The Hubbardston People page on Facebook is actually a very good source of what's going on. And sometimes it can get pretty entertaining. There's cows in the road, whose cows are in the road, the weed farm smells, things like that. But
The Bears.
Oh, but
the bears, the bears.
Abatement program now.
You know when a bear's moving across town because everybody's posting in the
Yeah.
people's parks.
Right, yeah, I liked what the town of Rutland recently put up. They said, stop calling the police if there's a bear.
When we first moved in, we called the police, there was a bear on our deck, taking down our, and the Hubbardston police said, that's good to know, we just know we won't ever visit in your area.
Let us know when he leaves. All right.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's
I've
kind of
got
it.
a couple more things on the town website. We've got a link to the community survey, but that's over, right?
That is
So
correct.
that's gotta go. What is FY '23 LLC guidelines?
That's I think, that's the state?
That's the state's, every year they publish a new version of the guidelines, I believe, that
Yes.
describes the program.
Local cultural council
It
guidelines.
describes the
that's
program
what
from
it
start to
means.
finish, right down to the requirements and what to consider when you're,
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, I'll call it something else because.
It's a good read.
That way people will
It's a
know
good
to
read.
avoid it.
right,
There's certain sections that are very informative, and there's some that are just, bathroom material.
right.
I think Lori Reed threw it up there because when there was a lot of confusion about some of our end dates or whatever, she wanted to be able to have people have access to where the information could be found.
It became very convoluted during COVID, yeah, because there was extensions granted and so on and so forth. Past tense, and now we're focusing on more things that'll be on a regular basis scheduled and a little bit clearer. Everybody made modifications during COVID, and we survived. We were very generous because the state allowed us to be regarding somebody that said, I can't do it because of COVID, but I still need the money, and we gave it to them. So, but that's all past tense, so.
Donna, do you want to share secretary tips?
Mine is very simple compared to yours.
No, but you do an awesome job. It's very important.
Thank you. I just put together duties and responsibilities of the secretary and
You
listed,
have copies?
huh?
You have copies?
I didn't make copies
Okay,
of it.
all
I
right.
made a couple copies.
Yeah, if you just want to email it.
Yeah, I can do that, yeah. Under normal circumstances, I take notes during the meeting, and then within timely fashion, hopefully, last time it took a month, but usually within a week or so, I'm able to get the meeting, the minutes organized on a template. I did make a copy of the template, just to give you an idea of, I think, Lori, I think you did something like this first, and then I
Maybe
just,
I
yeah,
might have,
just followed it somewhat.
I think I was being corrected by the town clerk on what needed to be
Oh, wow.
Okay,
edits,
yeah,
and therefore I noted them.
yeah, so that's just a quick copy of, when you do put the final meetings, get minutes together, pretty much this is the information you need, which is when the meeting begins, when it adjourns, members in attendance, members that are not here, and then the agenda, open issues, and whatever's discussed that's important. Excuse me. And then, once I do get the meeting minutes together, I email everyone a copy, just to get ideas and additions, corrections, print out copies of the meeting minutes to hand out to everybody for the next meeting, to go over them, to approve them, or, again, add to, or whatever. Usually, there's no issue at that point. And then a copy of the meeting minutes are filed in the town office in our file cabinet.
And that's a paper copy?
It's a paper copy, a hard copy, and also we email a copy to the town clerk, who posts it, I guess, on the town website.
Yeah, I think it does. I think
The
it
only
does.
problem is with the transition of the town clerk over the last year, there's probably 4 or 5 copies of our minutes that haven't been posted. The last minutes that were posted are, well, I have July 28th, 2022. Has to be posted in every meeting since then. 1, 2,
Wow.
3, 4, 5, and I've sent them, but I think with the transition, they had bigger fish to fry maybe, and,
Yes.
yeah. And Joyce was back for a while, I know, to help
Yeah.
out, but then there were, I don't know.
The person they have now is
I think yeah.
real
And
good.
I haven't reached out to her yet. She's
Yeah.
the only one I haven't.
Yeah.
But I will
Thank you.
with these, I think there's 5 meetings here.
Okay.
So, and,
But you've sent them, they just haven't posted them.
yeah,
So a brief reminder that there are several that haven't been posted.
yeah.
And if she
yeah.
needs to have copies of them again, you could supply them.
Yeah, and then, yeah, the last thing was email approved minutes to the town clerk, Candace Livingston, is that her name?
Yep.
To post on the website, and that's it. Pretty much. So I will forward copies of
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah,
to
to everybody,
the new group.
yeah. Yeah, that would be good. Does the secretary get a trip, does the new secretary get a trip to Aruba?
in December, yes.
Sign me up.
Real sweetener.
And it may even take you.
Bill, do you have anything to add?
I believe that whoever is designated to take over some of the organizational skills of the chairperson would need to call a meeting sometime. Once again, will you make sure that the new members are on the Massachusetts Cultural Council mailing list? I know that I get things on a regular basis.
You guys are on, right? And I
So you
think
do get,
Melissa's-
okay,
And
that's
once you
good.
sign up through the portal.
Right, you have to sign up through the
Bob, are
portal.
you getting anything yet?
Yeah, I don't think I can add people until they,
Okay, till July 1?
yeah, and they have to, I think, sign themselves. I think I tried to add people and I ran into trouble with Laura.
It may say something like, you can save this as a draft, but you can't.
Right, I think you have to reach out to them yourself and say, I'm here, I think is how it goes. I'm not sure. And I know we had a problem with Laura's
How can we
email.
facilitate that for Bob?
Excuse me?
How can we facilitate that for Bob?
I can have Haneko reach out to you. She's the Mass Cultural Council, our representative on the Mass Cultural Council. I think her name is Haneko Brace. I can ask her to reach out to you and send you an email. Okay.
Can I just go on the website myself and,
I think so.
Mass Cultural Council website?
Yeah. They also have some really nice,
There's a link for it here.
okay.
To add new members to your council, use this registration page right here.
And it asks me like all this stuff that I'm like, no. There was all kinds of stuff that asked me things.
So we know his appointment start date, correct? Yeah, so it's just pretty much the organization, name, email, phone number, and then status.
Okay, all right,
It's all there, yeah.
okay,
So he would be a member right here.
yep,
Okay.
okay,
So we should be able to take care of that tonight.
okay.
So, and as you know, according to open meeting law, you can't make any decisions electronically, you have to have an official meeting. But I think that informally, the four of you should have some communication and be thinking about the other positions that are going to be responsible and need to take place in order for you to begin the next year. That would be chairperson and that would be secretary. Because we have, informally, have a treasurer.
They make the decision.
Yeah, and so just be ruminating about that.
Sorry, Laurie.
And the idea that you'll get from us, that would be the other secretary, chairperson, that outline that sort of says what it is. And I think it goes without saying, although I have no official position other than member at this point, but having been chair in the past.
I think I called you a consigliere.
Consigliere, yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think that's
I'm a maid
what we
person.
decided you were.
So, but I think it goes without saying that it's already been said, that you're more than, if you get stuck at any one point.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to see all of our hard work become stale, so by all means to reach out and say, we're stuck on a point, we need your help on this. I think we'll all be willing to do that.
Yeah. Oh, I also, sorry, I have like a whole bunch of pictures and stuff of past events. It lives on the Facebook page, so if you need more to grab or things like that, I can get you a flash drive or whatever, with pictures I've taken, but there's actually quite a few. The Hawkman was the best.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I wish you'd,
He was the
I'd also
best.
be
Fly
curious
again.
on the cloud space, see if there's room there.
What cloud space?
You were talking about Hubbardson Town. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's from what I remember from the Vietnam War Memorial page, it is a hidden page that admins can access on the town website. It's not publicly accessible information.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, if we get access to any electronic documents,
Just let me know.
yeah.
and I would say for the new members, don't be intimidated, because although it may seem like a lot,
It falls into place.
it does fall into place. And I think that one of the things that's very effective is that as long as we have a member or two that goes to an event, it shows our interest factor, plus we have a review factor. And I think that's important, that we get firsthand knowledge of the presenter, the attendance, the effectiveness for future times, because there's been 3 or 4 that we
Duds.
elected not to grant a second time based on the ineffectiveness. But overall, I think that our choices have been across the board very good, and that we're doing something for the town that's productive and has a positive result. And our 2 biggest bangs for our buck are always going to be the fair and the field day. But having something going on at different times of the year with different types of presentation has given us the feeling like we've made things happen. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. All right,
Besides me, who else is new here?
Laura's new, Jonathan's
1
new.
year, sorry.
And we have another member, Melissa, who's the young lady who's out tonight
She's new.
because of the
And
death
also
of her mom.
remember that we're not going anywhere.
Right.
Feel free to reach out to us for anything. If you're walking by, come knock on my door and say hello. I mean,
Where will you be?
oh, if I might, huh?
Walk by where?
Oh, my house.
Oh,
You
okay,
said you
yeah,
walk
all
by.
right.
On Abenaki, yeah.
Feel free to,
I walk by very often, actually.
so feel free to
6
stop
a.m.
in and say hello.
Yeah, and I think that you really need to push to get that 5th member, because that's another set of eyes, another set of ears, and I would say, should it, you have any opportunity, talking with your neighbors, talking with other people from town, that you're going to find that it's not a difficult, you don't make big decisions, you don't have a lot of, inner fighting, and, so a person that does it knows that
Community
they're not, it
members
isn't
don't
every
let you
week.
down.
It's like 9 meetings a year.
Yeah, in November, you need the 5th person, for the
Yes.
actual voting part, but beyond that, you just need a quorum.
Yeah, I need a
correct,
quorum, which is
Quorum
3.
is 5 people?
3.
3.
Quorum is 3 people?
For decision-making, quorum is 3 people. For the grant assessment, that's 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got confirmation from last year from Boston that we do need the 5 people.
Henceforth,
That's
our
why I called
friend.
out of retirement. so,
Right.
We hauled
come
Bill
back
out of
and do it
retirement.
again.
Just in the interest of time, Lori, do you want to share your financial stuff?
I guess I would. I spent some time working on it.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, I'm sure it's beautiful.
No, it's very quick, and it's probably mostly geared towards Jonathan, so,
Unofficially.
unofficially, yes, I'm sorry. But therefore, everybody should have an idea of
It's beautiful.
what the role is. On a monthly basis, there are certain tasks that I take care of. Based on the town's financial reports that come out once a month, I go and update our ledger and start looking into balancing to what they say they have. They send out a summary and a detailed page. The detailed page will give you if any grants have been paid. Or if it's the right time of year, you'll see the allocation from the Mass Cultural Council there. I also, to effectively handle this, I track grants. I track what's outstanding, what we've paid, what's the status of each grant. Let's see. So I produced a treasurer's report list, which is the front page of what you have, I handed out earlier, that shows you a synopsis of the work that goes in behind the scenes. It's basically beginning balance, ending balance, and the activities in between. There's one key thing to note that, and this has come up once or twice, that when the town posts that a grant has been paid, it has been paid, it has not been cashed. So you may sometime down the line get a call saying, I never got my check. At that point, you contact the town accountant or the town financial person. They will check to see if the check has been cashed. If it hasn't been cashed, they will reissue it. But their reporting is basically on a paid basis, not a cashed basis.
And for all intents and purposes, we're not going to entertain the other option, correct? Because of the amount of work involved, correct?
That would be my suggestion, but again, it's up to you can be on a direct pay or a reimbursement pay. A direct pay is you pay up front to your grantees, and then you hope they get their stuff done. The advantage to that is, and I think this is where the Mass Cultural Council is coming from for offering that, is that some grantees may need those funds to buy supplies for their class or to help them transport whatever they have to transport. So they offer this direct pay or a reimbursement pay. We've been on, so for the 6 years that we've been doing this here, on the reimbursement pay. It's a decision that each council should make for themselves. From a treasurer's point of view, reimbursement pay has been easier for me. I can see how you can do it, and it could be done. You have to weigh up the pros and cons for your grantees, for your treasurer. But we're on the reimbursement. I track grant activities, I process the reimbursement requests so that I can know when they've been submitted to the town accountant, and we're kind of waiting to see them on those financial reports. Let's see.
And we have a mailbox, is that where you?
Yes, that's where you would find your reimbursement
Or the mail
request.
slot, or whatever?
How often?
It's, how often do I check?
Yeah.
Well, when I wasn't living in town, it was maybe once a month. Now I would check once a week.
Sorry, my question should be, what is the recommended time frame we should be checking that box?
Week, once a week,
Okay.
Monday through Thursday.
We also track the administrative expenses, which are dollars that we have $330, I think, to allocate and pay for and things that help us promote an activity, the Facebook boosts, the signage, the
Posters,
printing
yeah.
for stuff. We do need actual receipts to process those. I have been denied having those processed without an actual receipt. Just showing pictures of a Facebook boost was not good enough. I needed the payment that went behind that picture of the Facebook boost.
And this was the town treasurer, correct?
Denied me, yes.
Okay.
The last thing, there's annual processing. I balance what they call the local cultural council activity report. Once a year, our Kelly, our town accountant, will send out a document that she gets something from the Mass Cultural Council and she fills it in, and she says how many grants have been processed. And we take that, and how much money did we take in from the Mass Cultural Council. We take that report, we fill it into the Mass Cultural Council site, and we just make sure that the town's numbers balance with our numbers. If there's a discrepancy, you either get on the phone or an email with Kelly to find out why. I balance monthly to make sure that there's not going to be a discrepancy when this time period comes around, just so that, you know, we do balance. And then, with that information, I update the Mass Cultural Council's annual report. Then, once we know what our allocation of dollars are once a year, we go through a process, it's a voting meeting, and we determine the dollars available to spend on the grant for the next coming fiscal year. Just a note, fiscal years roll over on 7/1. 6/30 is the last date. We're coming up on a rollover, which is a little bit trickier because there's year-end reporting. Just depending on how you want to do your books, do you want to start with a new fiscal year of tracking stuff, or when I started, I just kept the years going because I was trying to get a feel for the accounting that I needed to do, so I didn't not necessarily end a year, I just kept it rolling along with the balances, and I could see how we stayed in step with the town. So anyways, that's it. I do have copies of the voting meeting where we determined how many dollars we were going to send, and of the local cultural council report that Kelly supplies to us, which I will definitely send to the group, and that's about it.
So when grantees request reimbursement, do they do it through the cultural council or through the town?
Through the town. They send, it's paper at that point, we don't have an electronic way. They send in paper copies to the 7 Main Street here, and then it changed during COVID, but during COVID and while I was in Sterling, I was signing them myself. You should have 2 signers on each reimbursement request, which is a little bit trickier when you don't meet that often, because you do want to get your recipients paid as soon as possible, because a lot of them are small businesses. They don't have a ton of money, so that's the tricky part of working out the reimbursement requests. And I don't want to have a redacted document, but I probably can find a copy of a reimbursement request.
It's
and
on
put it out.
it's on the website.
It is on the website.
Yeah, I sent it out actually with the acceptance letters in January when
Oh, you
I
send
did the
a form?
Mascon.
Great.
I attached everything to it
Yeah.
so that they have an electronic copy. They print it out, they fill it out, and then they mail it back here.
Right, and then I just go to my grant tracking and I update the date I received it, I update the date that I sent it on to the town accountant, and then I wait to see it on a financial report show up. And if for some reason there's a wrong amount or whatever, you deal with it then. But Kelly has been great about always processing everything that we needed. She gets a little busy around year end, so the year end, like the 6/30 town monthly report might be a little bit later than usual. Usually the monthly report from the town is, if you're doing May, you'll get it in June. You know, the May reporting is in June. Around year end, it might be, instead of August for the July, it might be, you know, a little bit more of a lag.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no way to expedite it by meeting with 2 members of the council reviewing it, because that would be considered outside of the meeting and therefore not valid?
I don't think that's true.
No, not true. You
I
could-
think
So you
when
could get
we,
together and
yes, you can
expedite
get, what I have done with Donna and Bill in the past, and I think it's valid, you just need a signature of another council member. And so when we were pre-COVID and we were trying to accomplish some of this, we were sending stuff through the mail, snail mail as it was back then. But you could potentially scan something, have somebody sign it, scan it, and send it back to you to move forward. You just need another member's signature.
So I know the term for that is a wet ink signature, that's not necessary in order to keep it going?
It hasn't been. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if things became lax during COVID, because at one point, we were told we only needed one signature.
Yeah, I've never
Um,
signed anything.
So, I don't know the exact answer to that, Laura.
Well, I wouldn't ask, because if it hasn't come up, then there mustn't be a problem.
Sounds
But now I
good.
made it a problem by saying it publicly.
With the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, I had Bill Withercombe, who lived right up the road. So I would sign it, then I go up and find Bill, he's out feeding the horses or something, but I'd have him sign off on it. So I was always able, I would be on my way to go downtown to give it to our
Well, usually,
treasurer.
yeah, if Donna or Bill got one, they would, because when Bill was the chair, he would pick up the mail more often, a lot more frequently. So
See,
one of them
yeah.
would sign it, and they would mail it to me. So they had done a wet signature. I would do a wet signature, I guess, and then I would scan it to put it into my book. But when I send it to Kelly, everything, Kelly is, as you guys mentioned, I do realize now that she did move to Florida. Wow. I did look it up.
Cool.
And there was a big kerfuffle about it in some towns. Anyways, hers is not a wet ink signature. She always gets an email, and that's what she preferred even before COVID. So anyways, so you do have to send to her the reimbursement request. She does not want the substantiating data. That's too much paperwork for her. I send her a cover letter of what I am explaining, you're going to see a reimbursement request, their amounts, what grant number they are, just for my own record keeping, and the reimbursement request itself. So, and I do have a copy of all reimbursement requests that have been processed and their extra documentation stored here that would go into the cabinet along with other stuff. So that's about it.
As always, Laurie, very well organized. You have a big set of shoes to fill.
And Jonathan knows I'm here. And I do not think, under any circumstances, that you have to do what I do, the way I do it. Everybody's mind and brain thinks differently, and I did things to make me comfortable. It's not, you will find something else potentially that makes you comfortable in the role, if you become the treasurer, let's put it.
And didn't you have to wasn't there like an imbalance and you had to really hunt it down and,
Yes, I have had to.
Oh, yeah,
there was a whole thing with that, yeah.
but you got it done.
Yes, it was, I was like, whoa, it was a lot of stuff.
And then there was 1 penny.
It was one
Oh,
penny,
that's right, I
One
remember the
penny.
There was the
penny.
1 penny.
Yes, I remember.
I tried to pay her off, but it
Kelly's
didn't
recording
work,
was off
right?
1 penny, and I was off, when I called her and said I was off a penny, she's like, I have been looking for that penny. Says, I got it.
No, it's
Making a
it's
penny.
impressive work, very, very
Anyways,
impressive.
again, like we said, we're still in town, I'm back in town.
Which is great,
And
congratulations.
definitely want to make the next committee be very successful, so do whatever we can to help.
You know where, everybody knows where I live.
You followed me into town.
I did. I'd have Jonathan give me a ride home one night. And I'm out on my bike, so. See me tooting around. Haven't gone by your house lately, I better.
It's quite a hill.
I have an e-bike.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, good for you. Yeah.
There is power.
yeah.
There is power. Does anyone have anything else to add at this time? I will reach out to Henry the Juggler and ask him about what he would like to do. In the event that he doesn't get back to me in a timely fashion, Jonathan, can I direct his email to you or to
Sure.
Katie? Maybe Katie.
Katie should be the direct correspondence because
Okay.
he's working with her directly. I mean, I'll
Okay.
try and assist, but there's not much I can do from my end.
Sure. And I will gladly give up my Facebook page administrator duties, and I will give them to each of you, and I'll update Katie on that, and I'll reach out to the VA coordinator.
VOA.
So do we need to call another meeting then for the elections of our positions, or how's that gonna work?
However you want to do it. I mean, you have, I think you have some time at this point in time.
It would
This
be
is
nice to give yourself some time to get some more members too, so you have, there's not slim pickings as to who takes what role.
Should we set a date on the calendar then, a tentative date for another meeting, or wait until we get another
Well,
appointee?
things come to a head in October, right? That's when the action
Things
starts.
start spinning up. in
September-ish.
September's when things start spinning up.
kind of school year-ish.
The guide comes out sometime between July and August from the state. That's when it officially kicks over, but we don't
You'll get
really
your
start
schedule.
rolling until September, when the reports are due and everything else for the awards.
And does early August make sense? Mid-August?
I think early August would be, so with the exception of the first weekend, I'd be available. So Bob, would you be willing to put something tentative on the calendar, or
Anybody?
would you be up for putting a tentative date on the calendar for our next meeting?
As of right now, August is free. I can,
Okay.
we have plans for 1 week, but I couldn't tell you offhand what the week is right now. Early August sounds better than late August. But, I'm not sure.
Maybe second week in August then?
Yeah.
The week of the 20th, I'm gonna be slammed at work.
Question here, though. Up until your next meeting and you don't have a treasurer, the reports are gonna continue to come in, the reimbursement requests are gonna continue to come in.
Well, that's why I was saying, should we put another date on the
How do you
calendar?
wanna handle this?
Should we put a date on the calendar before then, was my point, I think, to handle the business end of it.
That makes
That
sense.
you need,
Yeah.
so then you need for that vote, you're gonna need a 5 people and a 3 people.
I
Quorum
think,
if you're gonna vote, oh, you don't vote?
No, just for the grants.
I think
Yeah.
it's just for the
for the
grants that
grants.
you need the 5.
But I
I
wouldn't
think the
want
others,
us
you just
to
need a
be,
quorum.
or anyone want us to be missing for that meeting, especially if we're deciding who's gonna be doing what. There really should be all hands on board for that meeting.
Yeah.
So,
So therefore, sometime in July would make sense. And
Yeah.
in between time, you could once again look over responsibilities of the other positions and then come up with some official appointments among yourselves.
So in the meantime, I will continue to do the financial reporting, potentially in parallel with Jonathan, if he wants it, I'll get you on. Is
Well,
it kosher to put you on the email list then? or
it
no?
is, and there's no reason why one of us couldn't start taking over those responsibilities until such elections too. We want to keep the council going, right?
That'd be nice of you, Jonathan.
And we just can't officially sign anything for the next grant
Correct.
year until, so a meeting sometime in July then.
Like Mondays and Tuesdays? That'd be great.
Yeah, no Wednesdays for me.
Actually, no, Mondays are great in July.
So Tuesday.
11th, which is a Tuesday.
I'm game for Tuesday evening.
Okay, I like 7.
Tuesday, the 11th?
Tuesday, the 11th, July.
Okay.
And what time works for everybody?
7.
7? All right.
This feels weird.
Gives us time to have dinner.
That's right.
I think it was, I don't really like to drive in the dark is why we kind of moved some stuff out,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
I drive home
like
with my
I said,
high-beam
7 in the summer is different than 7 in December. I think I would, with the setting of another meeting date, I would like to adjourn the meeting, and I would like to thank everybody
Yeah.
for all their hard work, And
Wish
so
her
I
good
think we
luck.
can stop videoing now, just to let this nice young lady go home. But our meeting is adjourned, and I think we're all set.
Okay.